Trading the foreign exchange market carries high risk and may not be suitable for all investors. Trading on margin, utilizing leverage can carry an even higher level of risk that can lead to a complete loss of investment funds. So before deciding to trade the foreign exchange market or using any of our software alert products, you should carefully and diligently consider your personal investment objectives, level of experience, and risk tolerance. There is a possibility that you could potentially sustain significant loss. You should not invest any capital or trade that you cannot afford to lose. It is your responsibility to be aware of and understand all risks associated with foreign exchange trading and to seek professional advice from an independent certified financial advisor if you have any doubts. Auvoria Prime does not exercise trading authority over your trades. You and you alone exercise discretionary trading authority over every trade.
Okay, let's go to the charts. We'll go to the check out our news and see what kind of news we have today. Change my screen here. Stop sharing and share. And let's go to the heat map and come to the news. First of all, today is Tuesday, April 6th, and we do have a couple of red folders. We had some red folders in the Aussie during the middle of the night at 12:30 this morning. Nothing else new for the day on that one. And then with our FX workbook news alerts, we have 7 o'clock, we have some Euro unemployment change, and we also have some basically some unemployment news from the Euro. And then coming down here around 2 o'clock this afternoon, we have some news, job openings report from the US. Other than that, it's going to be a fairly quiet day today, and looks like it's going to be fairly quiet tomorrow as well. So we'll see. Nothing tomorrow until looks like 12:30 tomorrow afternoon with some dollar news, goods and services, some Canadian news around 2 o'clock. So we'll review that again tomorrow. So other than that, let's take a look at our heat map. We're going to see what currencies are the strongest and which ones are the weakest today. And right now, the dollar was actually the strongest currency. It's starting to lose some ground here. It was the top three charts: the 1 hour, the 30-minute, and then on the 15, it was the strongest pair. Is starting to lose a little bit of strength to the euro, looks like, and the British pound and Canadian dollar are still in the bottom three. New Zealand's in the bottom three. So we'll be looking at trading to the Canadian and the New Zealand and the British weakness and the strength of the US dollar, euro, and Aussie. So we'll just keep that in mind as we proceed on today. Let's go to the charts. Let's see if we have any alerts. We did have just got an S&P alert. Let's get that one up here. And remember with the S&P index, it's oftentimes that different brokers give a different name. Some of it is the SPX 500. Some say it's the US 500. So just whatever your broker, just keep in mind that it's under the index tabs of your brokers as to which one, how they set the nomenclature for it. Let's take a look at the SPX 30. That's the S&P. Looks like we are in an uptrend. We have lots of green, and it's making new green levels. It's in a range right now, but we are in an uptrend. I'll put my arrow right here, and then we'll scale back a little bit and see what we've got. So we are in an uptrend. We have an up arrow. We have a little bit of a pullback right now off where the arrow was. Let's see what our range is. Here's where the this was the open of the session. So here's where the arrow was. Oop, we just got a zone right there in front of us here. This is all on the 15. That's on the 5-minute chart. Let's go to 15-minute here. The arrow was generated on the 5-minute. We just got a 5-minute zone. Here's our money zone right here. So let's go and put that on as we analyze this thing a little bit closer. Here's our money zone. We had a nice, fairly good move over in the overnight. Here's the overnight high. Here was the daybreak, yesterday's daybreak. the overnight high. Here's the overnight low. Put some lines on that. Looks like it put it right here on the top wick of the high. Put it on the bottom of the candle, or the base of the candle, not the wick, but the base. And here was the breakout to the downside. And now it looks like it's breaking to the upside. This looks like this could have been almost like a little market maker move here. Came down $5, see, from 40.69 to 40.63. So it came down $5, and now it looks like it could possibly head on up to the about $14 move to the upside to the top range of the candle. This is on the 5-minute chart.
You're on the M15.
15, or I'm shooting on the 15. And I said we got the alert on the 5, but this is where it would have to get through this range right now. The fact that this just popped up here gives me pause to think that there's some sellers still up here. So you want to be careful about that. I'm not going to take this trade. It just doesn't fit my criteria.
Excuse me, Al. CB's in the room if you'd like to bring him over. He said that's fine.
Absolutely. Let's bring him in here.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for keeping an eye on that. And here he is. Let's bring CB over. He always has a wealth of information for us. And there he is. And good morning, CB.
Good morning, Al. Good morning, Christian.
Good morning.
Top of the morning to you. And glad to have you back after the holidays. Back into the saddle again.
Let's catch some pips.
Let's catch some pips. Yep. So anyway, we're not going to take this trade. It's just, I said that we had the arrow, the zone popped right on up. And with the indexes, we are using the indexes on the 5-minute chart. So that was not a mistake. That was intended that way. The indexes, the gold, and maybe I'm not even sure about the cryptos if we should be looking. I think 5-minute charts on the cryptos isn't bad either because there's a lot of volatility to those. And so let's see, we have a Ethereum. We'll take a look at that. And let's see, let me pull that one down. Again, you're going to find that a lot of these markets are all kind of range bound. So you may, not saying you can't take the trade, but just be careful because there is a lot of volatility in a very narrow range. And that's where you get whipsawed. It takes your stops, doesn't get your profit. And so that's why whenever these things are range bound, because I always take my profit early if I need to. I find the zone, I always give it a couple pips above the zone, so it gives a chance to get back into the zone. Here's a down arrow. And I'll mark it there. So here's where the arrow was. 5-minute chart. Check the zones, see where the direction is. It is in an uptrend. You can see a strong uptrend. Where things are in a strong uptrend, I like buying the pullbacks. Where they're in a strong downtrend, I like selling the pullbacks. And let's spread this out a little bit more here. So we are in an uptrend. Let me put an up arrow on this one for identification. Here's our zone. And you can see it gave us the arrow. It's pulling back a little bit. And actually we have a nice little wedge right here. If you look at this pivot low, here's a pivot high. This is all actually within the day's range. Here's the range break right over, way back over here. Let me put that up. And so you can see where the overnight high was up in this area. I'll put it right at the bodies. Put the overnight low here at the bodies of before the range. Let me see where that comes into. There's a scrunch. See where this thing is. So bring this down to the overnight, the body of the overnight low candle, which is right about where this was a nice little, almost probably looks like a bank induction, almost came right down in, bounces out, comes back up to retest there. And right now we have a trend. Have some, we use our trend tools to find our wedges and our triangles. I like this. There's a low here. There's a retest of this low over here. Came up. So I'm liking this range right here between this red zone, the top of this candle in this red zone, which is over here. Came up, tested it, was rejected. Came down here, tested it, was rejected. You have a nice little wedge going on right here at the bottom. There's the anchor. Here's a hit. Here's a near hit. Hasn't fully committed to breaking out off of this bounce. And then we have a little flat top, kind of a shallower angle over here. I kind of like this area right in here.
Excuse me, Al.
Yes.
Why did you take the overnight high as the line that you did rather than the higher peak at the next zone prior?
This one here?
Yes, like when you drew your
Oh,
horizontal line?
This one actually that was a mistake. This one should be up here. It should be up here. I'm sorry. Yeah, thank you for catching that.
Sure, no problem.
Yeah,
Thank you.
here's the new day break. Here's the body of the overnight high. Here's the body of the overnight low. I should probably take it down there a little bit lower. And that's the highest candle body at the over the overnight before the money zone. Here's the lowest candle before the money zone. Once it breaks this line, which it did not, or once it breaks this line. Now this range is probably bigger than what it would be. You could use that strategy. It shouldn't be more than 50 pips. And now what it is going to be with the cryptos, that's a whole nother ball game. And right now I'm looking at about 600, basically about 608 pips. So that's way outside the normal range of what we'd be looking at here. So you really can't use that strategy, but I like to see where the overnight high and low is, and then pretty much kind of draw my wedges. I can probably use this one. The fact that this one came down, tested this zone, created a zone. This line right here is still somewhat valid. It's showing that that's where the sellers were coming in. Buyers came in down here. Sellers so right now, if it can bounce off of this trend line coming down, and this trend line can hold, then we may have some room to the upside. And so, but it was a down arrow with a pullback, and but it isn't an uptrend. So I wouldn't want to. I'd rather take this thing when it came down, bounced, and gave me an up arrow to that area up here. But you can see here's a high, a lower high, a lower high, a lower high, a lower high with a strong rejection. Actually, I kind of like this point right there a little bit better. And then I can try and catch as many of these as I can. So I like this for the anchor. Here's a hit, rejection, hit, rejection. Here's a anchor. Here's a hit, rejection. That forms our trend line. Is right now is trading inside this range right in here. Now the question is, if you get a bounce off of here, can you take it and get enough room to the top of the trend line? And so that would be, I'd be trying to get more into a trade down in this area, going with the wind to my back, having the strength to the upside, which it is, and that would give me probably about $21. It looks like from 21.28 to it'd be about $21 move. You're trying to only get maybe about $5 or $10 of that move. But I would be waiting for this thing to come down, see if it bounces off this trend line, and gives us a reason to take it long. And then there would be room to the upside. And so this would be your target. Your entry would be try and get your entry somewhere down here. If it comes back down and bounces off of that, then I may be willing to take a trade if we get an alert for that one. And that's about it. Any questions, comments, anything anybody would like to look at? Right now, we're still looking at the weakness of the British pound and New Zealand dollar. So we'd be looking for the British pound weakness, U.S. dollar strength for the most part. So
you have a UN alert.
Oh, okay. Which one?
A UJ.
UJ.
Right. USD JPY.
Okay,
Third one down from your alert chart.
Right here. Let me double check my chart to make sure that I have all my time frames set so I get the proper alert. This was not right. Let me change this one to 15-minute. Here's Bitcoin. I'm going to pull that one down. And let's get with UJ over here. And we're going to scroll out. See what our trend is. It is in an uptrend. Uptrend with an up arrow. That's a good sign. And a bounce. That'd be the second arrow. So we're going to go to a 5-minute chart and see if there's anything that's in the way of that. Let me go back to 15 and find out where the alert was. We're going to move the alert right here. Here's the alert. Here's the candle that opened up. So actually the alert is at the bottom of this candle. I kind of like it. Well, I can't see the candle from here. The arrow's kind of in the way. Here's the alert. So here's where the alert was. We have 2 arrows to the upside. Go to our 5-minute chart. And do we have room to the upside? We have uptrend, up arrow. We have 11 pips. This is shy of our 20, about half the distance. And US is strong, which would be good. The yen is in the middle of the chart, getting stronger. The yen is, right now, if we're looking at our heat map, I'm looking at the US pair, so looking at the strength, the dollar's strong, the yen is right in the middle, and it's starting to get stronger. Dollar is strong, the yen is right up here with 30 minutes, so they're going to start fighting. Either the yen's going to take over the US dollar and the dollar's going to start coming down, or it's going to just come up and fall back. Yen is strong, yen is strong. Dollar is actually starting to weaken a little bit on some of these other time frames. So it's not really in agreement with the overall strength of the currencies. So again, I'm not going to fight that one. And the thing a lot of times too is when we get these alerts, you try and find a reason to take it or try and find a reason not to take it. It's not a glass half full, half empty type of scenario, but you want to put the odds in your favor. And just because you get an alert and it's with everything's looking right, if it's range bound with a really tight range, again, you may not want to be taking it. And this one, normally we're looking at a 20 pip target. We only have half of that. We only have 10 pips to the upside, 10 pips to the downside. And right now we have this moving average, which is in our favor. The moving averages are in the right direction, but the strength is not. We may be looking for maybe more of a pullback. We can get more of a pullback and then maybe get an up arrow. But you can see we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5-minute candles all heading down. So it's actually in a pullback mode right now, as opposed to a mode to go long. Now, if we can get this thing to get a bounce off of here and get a price formation, a candle formation that gives us a little pivot low, which we got like a fractal or something, or a 3-candle formation or 5-candle formation, we have a pivot low, then we may be in a lot better shape to take this thing. So from here, that's at 1034, so 34 to 54. So we can get something right around 54, yes. And so this is what a lot of times I like to do is find out where the range is. Here's your target of 54. So in order to get that 20 pip target, it's got to come all the way back to pretty much bounce off of this moving average. If we can get a bounce off the moving average with some momentum to the upside, that may be worth taking the trade. Then you have a small stop down here.
It is, Al, on the 15-minute chart for this pair. It is right now bouncing off the 200 on the 15-minute. It's kind of
okay.
interesting to watch.
Oh, yep. Yeah, there it is. And we do have the arrow moving average is still below it. If we can get, so this is where you're starting to look and see what kind of price formation. Now we're looking at 15-minute charts, so we're looking at 15-minute candles. And right now I would be, here's where the target was, here's where the entry was. Now we do have a target all the way up here on the 15-minute chart. So there is plenty of room to the upside if we, with this pullback, even with this pullback right now off the 15-minute. The problem I didn't like is that we had two up arrows. This is where pretty much the bank induction was. Give us our bounce, arrow, go, had a pullback. Here is this, you can see this. Look at the length of this move from here to here versus this is the pullback. This is almost like your wave wave one, wave two. This is your wave three. Now it does have a little bit of pullback coming in. If we can get a nice entry with some strength off of this bounce, then we could possibly be looking at this for the target up here. I do like this. So look for maybe a break above this candle. And then you still have plenty of room to the upside. So from here to there, there's your 20 pips. And you have your 20 pips to the downside. I like to keep it below. I always like keeping it below the next zone, but we don't have a zone right here. Let's see if we have 40 pips. I like to keep it at least on the other side of this zone, other side of the moving averages. So right now, the way I'd be looking at having it set up is if we can get in around this point, here's our stop, there's a 40 pip stop, there's 36 pips, here's our 20 pip target. If we can get a break above this candle on this one off of this bounce, we may have a nice little trade. And let's see, the US is still strong, basically, which will give us room to the upside on this one. I'd like to wait for this pullback to be done. Let's go to a 5-minute chart and see if we can get an up candle on the, if we can get an up candle on the 5-minute or maybe even the 1-minute chart. That could be interesting. Let's see. Yeah, I would want to see a crossover this 200 moving average on the 1-minute, preferably on the 1 minute's getting pretty low down there. But if we can get a close above this moving average, that would give us room to the upside. Might get a little bit of a problem coming through these two zones, but we do have some momentum to the upside on this. And let's see. NASDAQ 100, we had the NASDAQ alert here.
Well, on this pair, Judson said that he already got a down arrow on from his broker, KOT.
On the US yen?
Yes.
Yeah, it's on the 5-minute, Al.
Okay. Yep, I see that. Yeah, so you don't want to be, I mean, it is in a, let's see, where is it? Is it an uptrend or downtrend on the 5-minute? What do we determine on that? Right now, it looks like it's still in an uptrend on the 5-minute. Let's check the 15-minute. Right now, it's in a downtrend on the 15, uptrend on the 5. That's interesting. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4.
No, it's an uptrend on the 15. I don't think you have it. The 15 is definitely uptrend.
Yeah, just not have it.
Yeah, you got to go out.
Oh, I got to go out of the Okay, yep. So we are in an uptrend. Let's put this in here. Up arrow.
You're still. You can go one further out, just so you can see it's a pretty big uptrend. You're still. Yeah, go one more. You'll see
there. Okay. Yep. There we are. Thank you. Yep.
Yep.
Okay. So we are trading to the strength of the dollar versus the weakness of the yen.
But you can see, this candle's making a big breakdown, just blew through both of the moving averages there. So good that we stayed away from it.
Yeah. And so look, you can see like with our heat map here, you can also see that the yen is now, the dollar was all the way up here. Now it's losing some ground here on the 5-minute. The yen is strong on the 5, the 15, the 30. And it's still showing strength on the 30 on the 1-hour chart. So again, it's not the current trend of these currencies is not going to be in your favor to take this thing along right now. So it's a good one to stay away from. When I get the alert and I see that the currency that's going in the direction with the strength has a big spread from the our heat map, then the safer the trade is. And then if it doesn't work, it just doesn't work. But you can see, look at this candle right here. You got two up arrows, but now look at this pullback right now. And so right now I'd be looking at perhaps a bounce off of this trend down below here. Here's a pivot low. Here's your first hit. Waiting for the third hit on the trend line. And with a uptrend. So if we can get a bounce off of this trend line with an arrow, that would be a nice little trade. Just like this one bounced, we had a nice move into the trade. The arrow came right into the zone, bounced out, gave us an entry. This might be the better entry right here if we can catch it off of somewhere around in this area off of this arrow. Is coming back down into it. That would be the safer entry. That would be an entry as if we were taking this alert. And then it's still in an uptrend, so you might have the possibility of going from this to you've got your 20 pip target up here, nice little pullback. And a lot of times these things don't always go in the same direction. There's your 20 pips. When right up to 20 pips, it's pulling back. And you have a 12 pip stop, possibly another 20, 30 pip target on this one. But I would wait for it to get done pulling back right now. I'd like to see it come down, challenge this trend line right here. Let me keep an eye on that one. Keep an eye on let me mark that one. We'll keep an eye on that one. Come back to that one. And any other alerts? Any other questions? Strong pullback here. I do like it off of this. This might be something you may want to consider too, is if you have a nice bounce with the arrow with the go, if you miss it and it comes back to retest where this arrow is, that could give you another entry to possibly continue this trend on up. Try not to chase the trade. Try not to jump in. Try and have the trade come to you. This is a key pivot right here. If this thing can come down and if we can hold this little area right in here, see if I get my channel lines. Trying to find my drawing toolbar charts. I'll look for later. But I do like this little area right in here. I like this little pivot. This could be a nice little entry zone right in this area. Here's where it had a nice move up, came back down. The buyers came in, and the buyers, well, if there's still some orders left here, there'll be some more buyers coming in between this area. And we'll see, wait and see. The dollar has lost a lot of strength in the last 15 minutes. And let's take a look at the other yen pairs. Since the yen is strong, maybe a British yen might be an interesting combination. 15-minute chart. US yen has a sell now. Aren't we glad we didn't take that just yet? And that's on the 15-minute. Right now, the British yen is coming right into the zone. I said the yen is showing strength right now. Let's take a look at the British New Zealand. They're both kind of on the weak side of it. Let's see where this one is. We go scroll out, see what the trend is. Looks like we have 1, 2, 3, 4 green, 2 red. So it is in somewhat of an uptrend. And this could be a possible bank induction coming strong move down into the zone. And the British pound is the first currency of the pair, but they're both kind of weak. The British pound's still weaker than the yen. So this is the weakest currency of all of them. So now this could be the fact that it's been weak. It's coming down into the zone. Question is, will this zone hold, or was it going to break through and come one down lower? We have to get through this little zone right here. This would be the target. We are in an uptrend, we said it. Seem to get a lot of contra trend trades this time of day.
Yes, our favorite strategy.
This would be contra trend, but there was the alert. Down arrow right into a zone. If it could break through this zone, would you have 20 pips to the downside? That's the question. So at the bottom of the green zone, if it breaks through the green zone, we have our 25 pips. So we do have some strength to the downside. The British pound is the weakest currency. And so this could, if this can break through here, it'd be contra trend, but it still have the possibility of a target. And let's see, here's a zone. Here's a little trend line coming in. Drawing these trend lines can keep you out of a lot of trouble. If you can see right now, it's bouncing off a trend line. So this could be a nice little bank induction if it comes back into the zone, bounces off the trend line. And we probably have room to the upside on this one as well, I'm thinking. We go to the zone. It's 36. And that's 40 pips. Yeah, if we can get this thing going to the upside, the question is it going to break through here? And that's what we don't know yet. But anyway, we can't take it until it either breaks this trend line. And now if it breaks this trend line, if it breaks this zone, we get a close below the trend line, comes back up, retest the trend line, then you might have a shot at your 20 pips to the downside to this target. It'd be a contra trend trade, but that doesn't mean that it wouldn't work. We are getting at the 8 o'clock hour, so contra trend trades are valid at this time of the day. So we'll wait and take a look at this one, see what happens here.
Yeah, this could also be just a classic bag entry too here if it bounces off that and starts heading back up, right?
Could very well be, yep. And right now you can see it came right down to the trend line.
Yep.
Now I was drawing this trend line based on this candle and this candle. And you can see this came right down, bounced, and it came right down to the trend line and bounced. This could be a nice little bag entry where the bounce arrow go. If you get a bounce off of this trend line, your stop could be, if we're looking at taking this thing long, and you have your stop below this pivot, below the trend line. So that way, if it breaks the trend line to come back up, retest it, it could come down. It's still going to have to get through this area right here. So we'll just have to wait and see, give it a little bit of room to see which way it wants to go. So this one could get to be real interesting. You got the trend to your, and all your moving average, and actually you're looking at this bouncing off the 200 moving average. That's bouncing off the trend line. Couldn't penetrate this area. And if you were to take it long, if you get a close above this zone right in here, if you get a close above that, then you could have a very, very tight stop, and you're looking at a stop of keeping your stop below this pivot, keep it out of harm's way. You might not even need that much if this develops. That's a 20 pip stop, 40 pip target. That's a 2-to-1 trade ratio. If we can get a candle close above this zone, then you could probably put your stop. I'd keep it here, but you could be watching if see if it breaks through this trend line, comes back up. Then you may want to get out of the trade, but I don't think it would come. It would have to be a pretty strong move right on straight down to make that happen. So this is a possibility with if we get a reversal on this one. Let's go to a 5-minute chart and see what it looks like on the 5-minute. Do you have 1 minute on yours, on your dashboard, CB?
Yep. Oh, no, I don't. I don't have the 1 minute on right now. I just too many alerts.
Yeah, that could drive you nuts.
Hey, when you have a chance, take a look at the Euro Kiwi on the
Okay.
5-minute chart.
Euro Kiwi. We'll keep an eye on that. Which one we're just looking? We're just looking. What was that one we were just looking at? US yen? Oh, British US or British New Zealand. You write that one down. And which is the one you said now?
I'm looking at potentially a counter trend trade on the Euro Kiwi.
Euro Kiwi. Contra trend. Okay, so we're going to be on 15-minute. We're going to see where our direction is. We are in a downtrend.
Oh, 5-minute though. Look at the 5-minute.
5-minute. Ooh, that looks, we were in a downtrend on the 15-minute, uptrend on the 5. Let's double check that again. Looks like a downtrend. So that would be with the trend on the, it'd be with a higher time frame trend, which is always good. Down. Let's go back to the 5-minute. Nice little move here. It's in a higher time frame downtrend. We have a down arrow. Yeah, I could maybe take this one. Pound, Euro, Kiwi. Yep, that one could work on the 5-minute.
We just entered the counter trend time frame. It's
The
808.
the Kiwi is now taking over the strength on the Euro on the 5-minute. I think I could take this one. I'd go to wherever that would bounce off of the moving average. Let's see what the range is on that. And again, you don't have to be in a hurry. That looks like 47 pips to the moving average on this one. Yeah, I can take this one. Take this one and I may only go for 5 pips, so let's take this one. Okay, I like this one. And I'm not going to go for 20 pips. I'm just going to go for my stop is not. I'm not going to have a 40 pip stop. I'm going to have a 15 pip stop, 10 pip target on this one. I doubled my lot size. Actually, I think I can go a little bit lower on this. Do a little bit better. I'm gonna bring it down to these wicks over here. I'm gonna take it where this last pullback was. So there's a nice strong move up, pull back. Keep an eye on this one. This is Euro Kiwi. The Euro is weaker than the Kiwi is gaining strength to the Euro on the 5-minute and also on the 15. Hasn't quite done it on the 30-minute chart, but we're not. By the time that happens, we should be out of this trade. And we'll see what happens. I like the fact that we had a close below the arrow moving average is pointing down. We had the arrow off the bounce. We had the bounce arrow go, and we're looking at, we have a zone all the way down here on, this is on the 5-minute. Even if we look at it on the 15, I'm still looking at the moving average. My target's still above the arrow moving average.
We just didn't get to the resistance on the 15 minutes, so I wanted you to look at
Yeah.
it. But the 5 minute looks pretty nice. So
Yeah, it looks pretty good on the 5 minute. Yeah, so we can go with I say we can go with a tight stop. Ideally, I like having my stop on the other side of the zone. And I said my target can be all the way down here. I'm just going to go for 10. I'm just going for 10 pips on this one. We have a nice little trend. Here's a little pivot high. Here's a high. Here's a lower high. Here's a lower high. Another lower high. So you have a little trend on the downside. If it breaks through the trend line, it could be a little head fake to the upside to retest this. Get my stop on the other side. But right now, I would not want it to close above this candle right here. This is where the first hit was. We have red candles. We have a down arrow. And just let it breathe.
for me, one of the things I like about this kind of trade is that I love getting into trades where you're real close to the bounce, like this one was.
Yeah. Oftentimes we get a little bit late in getting that for some reason.
Well, that upward move, in the London session, there's another great one. That arrow that obviously worked out there, that up arrow.
Yeah, here's a nice little bounce up arrow. That was a sweet move right there.
That was beautiful.
Again,
Yeah.
that was right in London. And you can also see with the London session, there's like, for those of you who are up during these times, here's your daybreak. Come over here. Here's the top body of the candle. Here's your money zone. Let me get that, mark that in here. There's your money zone. Here's the break, right? You have a nice up arrow, bounce arrow go. It breaks through right where the daybreak was, where the overnight high was. And nice move. Like I said, this software was originally designed for basically trading during the open of the London session to about noon. That's a 100 pip move right there. Now you can see, let me pull that, did everybody find the calculator in the back office? That'd be another question I'd like to ask everybody. It is in the back office for downloading, and I'm going to pull that up. Let's see if I can find it here.
No response yet. I'll let you know.
Okay. Let's see if I'll find the calculator. So here's the calculator. And you can see with I got $4,754. That's what my balance is. So, and I decided to go from, and we're going to just go over this again here a little bit. The Euro with New Zealand, that was the trade. So we're going to come up here with the Euro, New Zealand, find that on the chart. So we make sure we have the right Euro, New Zealand. So that's the pair that we're trading. I've got $4,754 in the accounts. I'll just put in 54. And I'm looking at normally we'd be looking at a 40 pip stop for the standard risk. It would be 40 pips, 2% of the account. So I'm risking $95, the standard lot size. And that gives me a lot size of 0.33. I'm backed it off to a 15 pip stop. Same price, same risk. And now you can see from a 0.33, now I can do a 0.86. So I did a 0.89, so that was close, 0.88, I did 0.89. I just reset all my charts over the weekend now I pretty much get it close to it. So I'm primarily risking 15 pips as opposed to 40. still risking the same amount of my account size, 2% for the trade. So I'm risking $95. And so basically if it gets to, and my target is $10. So basically with a with a 10 pip target, I'm basically with the 2%, I'm basically be looking at the $95 with a 2%. So we'll see how it works. Now, if I want to go for 20 pips, I can still do that. But this way I can get in, get out, make my trade for the day, and then be done. It's all a matter of, it's all math. It's just a question of what's your risk. The tighter your stop, the larger the lot size for the same amount of risk. And so we advocate no more than 2% risk per trade. Some people are a little more, some people like 3, some people like 1, but 2% is pretty much of a standard size risk for a trade. That way you can be wrong. You can be wrong more often than not and still be profitable. If you have your position size and set, you can be wrong 40% of the time, 60% win, 40% loss, and you're still making money.
Hey Al, I'm just wondering, do you still have go look at the pound Kiwi again real quick. I just want to see if you're on the 15-minute. I just want to see if your chart did what mine. Are you on Envy now, or are you using something different?
I'm using Envy. I'm on Envy right now.
Okay, yeah, that should be the same.
Pound Kiwi. Nice little bounce off of this.
Go to the 15-minute.
15, okay.
Yeah, I just want to see. Yeah, see how that resistance zone has gotten a lot thicker up above.
Oh, this one here.
Yeah, because now it doesn't look like it's really going to be a valid trade because it's really tightened up, and by the time the candle gets beyond that arrow moving average, will be, it won't be a trade. So this one's, because that red zone was much higher.
It was about where I had this target.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's
it did get a lot thicker. So yeah, it is showing more to the downside. Now, when they do, this was a strong bounce off of this trend line. The question is, but now we have a little bit of a wedge right in here. This is
you're not gonna get an up arrow though for a while because it's got to move above the.
It's got to get above this arrow moving average.
Yeah.
But we could get a break. This could be a nice strong move down. This is almost like what I call the flag entry. This is almost like a moving average to the a Fibonacci trade almost to the
38.
Like a strong move down, small pullback, and this could come back down and really test this area right in here.
Mm-hmm.
It has that potential. Okay, so we got 3 pips over here on my trade that we're in. Yeah, the question is that this is a strong move down. If I were to look at a Fibonacci on this, I kind of like, here's a drop, base, drop. It could come up and retest this area, but from this, just with this candle alone where the arrow is, if you draw the Fibonacci and see where this pullback retraces back to what percentage. Right now you can see it's I'm not sure exactly where the top of this arrow is. It's hard to see this. Let me see if I can find that out. Here was the entry, went up a little bit higher. Let's just mark it right about to here. Well, I can just use this one too, I guess. I'm going to take it at the open of this red candle. I can't tell if it went up higher because of the arrows in the way. But if we go with a pullback, here's a strong move down, pull back to 50%, pullback. See if it comes up to 62 or the 79. If it comes up to 79, it's coming right up into the bottom of this wick right over in here. So we'll see, and then see if it can get a turnaround. Then the target would be, then depending on how deep it goes to the upside, could come to how deep it goes to the downside. So this could be a possibility of a target on this move. If it goes up 50%, which is right where it is right now, then this would be the target to the downside, 50%. Let's pull it into a 5-minute chart and see what this thing looks like here. Here's where the arrow was. So actually, it's pretty much, that's right at the, I've got this thing right at the top of that, where that candle was. We're already up 6, 7, there's almost 7 pips. Anything above 7 pips, if it gets above 7, starts pulling back, I'll close this trade out, and that'll be my 5 pips for the day. Right now, I'm at 6.5 pips on this trade. Now, this is the Euro New Zealand. Let's get back to that real quick while we're waiting for this one. Euro New Zealand. Here's a nice little breakout. And I said, I'm not going to give it, if it starts struggling at 7 to 10 pips, I'm just going to get out of this trade, because remember, I took twice the lot size that I would normally take. There's 7, 5. So a little bit of trouble through here.
Yeah, I just took 8 pips. I just jumped out with 8.
Is there anything above 5? 5 to 10, anything above 5 is, there's 8, 8, 8, 9, and I'm out of here. That was my trade for the day.
Yeah, you know, Al, I mean, it's maybe an interesting discussion for this call. I've more and more been, instead of doing the, 20 pip, 40 pip stop loss concept, I've been, like you were saying, either doubling my lot size or at least, 150% lot size, and just shooting for 10 pips with like a, 20 pip or less stop loss, depending on what's, in the way in the opposite direction. But I just feel like I'm getting more wins by, getting out with, like we just did, with 8 to 10 pips versus trying to wait for 20.
Yeah, I'm coming to that. I've been to that conclusion a long time. I kind of got away from it a little bit when we started trading this arrow, but I'm kind of resorting back to the same concept again. What it does is generally it doesn't give as much time for the trend to turn around. You don't always make as much because, yeah, you don't get those really big runs, but you don't need the big runs. All you need is 5 pips a day. If you can get 5 pips a day, 2% of your account every day, in 2 years, you're a very, very wealthy person. But you have to be consistent. And what it does, it cuts down the emotional inventory, because you'll find that I'm going to share something here a little bit. If I can, let me get another chart here.
Alice, after you show that, if you could please, a couple people are asking where in the back office. They went to the back office under resources, and they're having trouble with the tab in order to find the pip calculator. So
okay.
Just when you're finished doing what you want to do, I just want to keep that in the back of your head.
Don't let me forget.
Okay.
Don't let me forget.
Thank you.
Let's just take a look at this Euro New Zealand. Okay, so let me go to the Euro New Zealand. This is on our trading view. And we often talked a little bit about different Fibonacci levels, different Fibonacci sequences. And this is where I come up with my 7 pip target area. Now we have, this is another little tool we have that we work with. And these are called this is a Fibonacci, but it's a little different calculation on the Fibonacci. But let me put it on a 15-minute chart, a 15-minute Fibonacci. It's a Fibonacci based on a, again, it's not your typical, this is more of what we call the institutional levels. But I'm just going to put this, I'm on a 15-minute chart, and we're going to put it with a 15-minute time frame here. And you're going to see that we've got some lines here. And I like looking at the blue to the blue. Those are the main support and resistance levels, blue. The red and the green are the ones that are in between. Now, if I look at on this or the 15-minute, and we have, here's our 15-minute blue line. I'm just going to try and give you an idea where this stuff comes from that I talk about. So here's a 15-minute blue. Here's another 15 minutes. So I'm going to put clone it here. There we go. Take it down. So I've got, here's my blue to blue line. These are the key levels. And you can see where this price came right on up to it and turned around. And these are just, they just work so well, so often. And then I have a 15-minute red. So here's my red. And for those of you who have TradingView, we're getting very close to making this stuff available. We're still working. We have some issues we have to work out with TradingView itself to be able to post it and do what we're going to try and do with it here. There's always some little glitch around the corner, but we were working on it over the weekend. And here's a green. Get the green. Okay, so these are the major levels here. Here's a blue, a red, a green, then back to the blue again. In between this blue and this red, in between, all these are in thirds. And if you look at the price between the red and the blue, you're looking at roughly 28 pips, or this was 30 pips. Euro, New Zealand, it's maybe a little bit different, but you'll get the idea. If I go and this is on a 15-minute chart, if I move this to a 15-minute zones or to 5-minute zones, you're going to see that in between, all between the red and the 15-minute green, you have 3 more zones. And if you get all the way down to, and then these are probably going to be about 21 pips, I believe. This is where the 21 pips. This is 21 pips in between this zone, 21 between here. And if 21 divisible by 3 is 7. So you have 7, 21, 14, and 7. So if I divide this into another third on a 2-minute chart, you'll see that each one of these zones are a third, or 20 or 7 pips. And this is where I get the 7 pips from. So I just go from zone to zone, go for my 7 pips, because this thing travels in thirds. And these zones are divided into thirds. So if I look, and you probably can't tell right now, but it would be from this to this peak right here, you're probably going to find out that's going to be 7 or 14 pips. That's a little bit over about 9 pips there. But this is why I look at 7 pips, 14 pips, 21 pips. And that's where a lot of times that 20 pip target comes into play. Based on these types of swings. These prices of the Forex, they move in 7 pip increments inside different ranges. But that's where those numbers come from. Now back to the back office. Let me see if we can find it in the back office here. You can see this thing's still going down. This thing could very easily come down to retest this. But I don't have to worry about it because I'm already out of the trade and I already got my pips for the day. So let me see if I can find my back office. I have to look in various different places to get into mine.
Quite a few trades came in there.
Yeah, this one came out real nice, and it's still going.
No, I'm saying we have new alerts.
Oh, no. Oh, thank you.
You're welcome.
US yen. US yen, US yen. That was one that we were looking at earlier.
Yes, it was.
And let's see, this is the one that we had. It's a down arrow coming right into the zone. It did, here's our trend line. It did break the trend line, but it also came right back down into another zone. That could be problematic. And
Yeah, but
also looks like,
this could be good though, Al, if it bounces back up, right?
right, this could be a nice little bank induction type of situation. Let's see, what's the trend on this one?
So you got your arrow there.
We are an up arrow. Yeah, so this could be a bank induction, one of those bank induction moves. We have an up arrow, strong move down right into the zone, broke the trend. Now this is kind of where we get to talk about these traps a lot of times. We had the zone, we are in an uptrend. It broke the trend line, strong break to the trend line. But now it said, here's our anchor, here's our hit. Now we did get a break, a close below this pivot right in here. Now the question is, can it keep on going? But by the time it breaks again, you're probably going to be getting a bounce off of this zone. Now, if it comes back up and retests the trend line, which would be right about in here, depending on how long it takes to get up there, then you could possibly, if it breaks this, comes back up, retests, then you could get down to this target here for the trade, and that might give you 20 pips. Yeah, that would give you 20 pips. So basically, if it comes back up, retests the trend line, and the trend line holds, then you'd be looking at this for the target. It would still be a contra trend trade, but you would be in the contra trend zone of the day for and US, New Zealand. The dollar has weakened quite a bit, and the yen has taken over the strength of the market right now. So you would want to be traded to the downside, but you want to see, I'd like to see a little bit more of a pullback. This could be a nice base drop. It could come back down and retest this area, which would still be okay. But we do have to respect this zone right in here. Let's go to a 5-minute chart and see if that zone's still there. Yep. This is where you can get these head fakes, where it's because everybody's sucked in, comes back, because everybody's sucked in, everybody's jumping in, going short. You have this little zone right here, and that's where as everybody's going short, they're selling. Well, who's buying it? The big guys are buying right down here. So be very, very careful with this one. As the big guys are buying down here, then they can drive it back up and up to the top of it. Let's see. We have a US Swiss here too. And US Swiss is getting stronger as well. Again, I think this is going to be contra trend. Let's go to 15-minute chart, and we have 1, 2, 3. Now we did have an uptrend that was now no longer there. So that means it started to gain some strength to the downside. And right now it looks like it is switched from being an uptrend to a downtrend. So this up arrow's got to go away. And we're going to put a down arrow in because we're on a downtrend on the 15-minute. Form this little zone right here. So right now you have a down arrow in the trend. Here's our money zone. So let's see. Scroll out a little bit. Here's our money zone. Here's our daybreak. Now it's right now, right here is where we had yesterday's money zone. That's the bottom of the money zone right here. If it can break that, we may be going more to this short side. And let's see, let's go to lower time frame. Two little zones here. Here's the zone. There's a little level on a level right in here. If we can get the break on this, we could go, we have to head further to the downside. And there's nothing to be seen here. So that's interesting. Let's get the US Swiss. Let's get on another chart here. There's a US Swiss trading view chart. Let's see what the currency US, that little heat map we have also propagated down here below. There's our Fibonacci's. Here's a blues. Here's our blue zone right here. So that could be a target area. And we're showing that the dollar is weak. The Swiss is strong, spread by 6. I would say this could be, it's got to get through. We have a little, this is the origin of, now it did break this trend line right on this. This is from yesterday. Strong move down, boy. Strong move down yesterday, small pullback. This thing could go short again. Let's see where the target would be. So here's the, let me take these off right now. And let's see, let's go to a higher time frame to see where, if it breaks this level right here, see where it's going to go. This is the lower wick. Come over here to the left. See if we can find something that we can hang our hat on. Let's go to a higher time frame chart. Here it is. Here's where the, let me take these day breaks off. And so right now, here's a strong move down. Here's some wicks. This is an area where it could very well bounce off of. Here's the origin of the move way down here. Came up, base, went up, came back, retested. This pivot got broken. This one's still in play. So we have all these series of wicks all the way down to right about, I'd say right about to this area. Strong move up, it based, it came back down, tested it, the buyers came back in, shot it up. Here's where the trend, this trend was broken. So there's an anchor, there's a hit, there's a hit. This was broken, came back up, retested. Now the question is, can it break through here? Right now, this could be a demand zone, where that's where the buyers came back in before. That's where they may come back in again if there's still some orders there. So I would be looking at this being demand. And the fact that this pivot low, strong move up, pivot, move up, pivot, broke, it broke this one and it broke this one. Now the question is, will this hold before it's going to come back down? If it breaks this area right in here, then I'd be looking at, if it breaks this area, then we're looking at this being the next target area. But it's going to have to take it's going to take a little bit to get through this area right in here. Pip-wise, this is 20 pips. It's a 20 pip zone. And I'll bet if I put my Fibonacci, those lines that I was telling you about earlier, if I put that on a 15-minute chart, you'll probably see there's a fib line somewhere in there. I remember I talked about the blue fib line. There's a blue fib line right where it is right now. This is the line right here where it's bouncing. These are institutional levels. It came right to that line and it bounced and it was rejected. And if I put this on a 5-minute chart, there's your 21 pips. Here's your 21 pips to the downside. Here's your green line. Here's your red line. Here's your blue. And you're going to have 7 pips in between each one of these. And we're still showing the Swiss is still strong. This is the same thing as that heat map. It only has just the 2 pairs. So I'd be real careful about taking a short when it comes into this zone. You may be looking for that bounce off of this. And that's all I can say about that one. Now I still have to try and find that where the resources are. Let me check my.
Thank you for going back there.
Yeah, I think I had it in the Telegram channels where I think we had it. Resource for public share, that's where it was. So you go to resources. Need to find the folder. Bear with me for a minute. We'll see if we can find it for you. Yeah, keep an eye on the alerts and see if there's any alerts that come up here, but
Sure.
It looks like this one's going to break through the bottom here. And I would say I'm looking at the US Swiss. It's making a new low from the money zone, overnight money zone.
And that zone disappeared.
Let's go back to 15 minutes. That was on the 5-minute.
Yes.
This is, so I said if it can break through the bottom, if it right now we're looking at yesterday's money zone. It did make a new low. This bounces up there a little bit. In a downtrend, down arrow. I said if it can get through this zone, we could probably go down for, you have a little bit of room to the next one. And I think we might have 20 pips there. It's 93.54 to 93.42. That's only 12 pips. That's not right. 93 to 92. Okay, that's 90. That's almost 100 pips. If it can break through this zone, we have room to the downside. Let's get through this zone first. So I would like to see a close below that line right there. Maybe I'll tighten that up a little bit. 5 minute, it's gone. Let's move over to yesterday's money zone. See if we get the line on that. It closed yesterday's, okay, this is yesterday's money zone. Let's see if we can get a close below that line right there. We may have something. And you want your stop above the red zone. And that would give us a, let's see what the stop would be. That'd be your 40 pip stop. And your 20 pip target would be right down around in this area right here. US Swiss. Swiss is strong to the US and getting stronger. I think we could take this trade. But I would like to see it close below the 93.54 level.
Al, the pound Canadian dollar is 15-minute chart is, we don't have an arrow yet, but it's looking kind of interesting.
Okay.
The move's a little further out than I like, but it's probably good to take a peek at it.
And tell me it's going to go to the short side?
Long.
Ooh.
CB, did you look at those other currencies that came up in the alert?
Yeah, I looked at everything. I
Okay.
don't see really anything else.
Okay, thanks so much.
Yep.
Oh yeah, that'd be right. Yeah, I read my thing wrong. Yeah, this does look interesting. Strong move down, came back down. And that was the down arrow off of this. That was interesting. That's a bounce down arrow off of that.
Yeah.
We're starting to get the crossover of the moving averages.
Yeah,
I
like where the arrow MA is pointing back up. The RSI is going up. Everything's moving up.
Yeah.
Just don't have an arrow yet.
Yeah, everything's saying this was a bounce. Oh, what's our trend on this one?
It's up.
Yep, trend is up. The up arrow. There is the zone. Let's go to 5 minutes, see if we get anything going on in 5 minute here.
Oh yeah, you know, it's interesting. Oh, that's another good sign. There was a little resistance zone on the 5 minute that
It's gone.
it just disappeared with this candle. This candle just
Yeah.
blew it away on the 5 minute.
The British is not overly strong against the Canadian dollar, but it is, the British is starting to gain some strength to it. I would probably like to see where this down arrow, I'd like to see this down arrow get, let's see, here's where the arrow was. See if we get a break on this.
I'll tell you, Al, my gearbox is just thrilled to see the Canadian dollar finally weakening here a little bit.
Amen to that one. I've been in some trades since the middle of February with the gearbox with the Canadian dollar, and just but you know, just it's been in drawdown, but it's just been hanging in there, and eventually it's going to turn around, and it's going to take some profits and get us out of those trades, and then we'll just and I did check the correlation. I'm not taking anything that's anything that I have open. I check the correlation, and I always make sure that anything is correlated with an open trade. I just take it off until that trade gets cleared off the table. I'd like to see it. I'm a little concerned with this. This is a down arrow, which means this was the move already. It didn't have much of a retracement. And right now we're pretty much right in the middle of this zone. So this thing could go either way. It could have bounced, come back and retest.
Yeah.
We do have another trend line. If I were to take it long, I prefer to see it bounce off of this trend line right here. Here's the anchor. Here's the hit. Here's our trend line. I'm going to take that right up in. There's our wedge. And I'm using the wedge. I'm just eyeballing it with this, where this down arrow is. This is where the entry was. And now we're looking at maybe this zone as maybe a little bit of a trap area, because this moving average has not crossed over yet. It's bouncing up off the 200. It's flat. You pretty much have a flat top. Now this could just be where we have this top. This could be that first hit of the trend line, and see if this area gets rejected. And I'm going to put it all the way up to. I'm just going to kind of eyeball right around in this area right in there, and see if we can get a bounce off of this. And I'm still looking, and I haven't forgotten, I'm still looking for the, I know it's on the resource tab in the back office. I just have to find out exactly where that is. I'm looking back at my notes in my Telegram here. It's in the resource folder in the company public share. So where's the company public share?
Is Jackie hosting the 9 o'clock call on Tuesdays?
I believe she's doing Tuesdays. I don't know that for certain.
Okay.
I know they had some problems finding people last week with the holidays and everything else. I'm not sure
Yep.
what they've concluded with all that. Probably need to have a meeting with Nate and find out what's the plan is, the overall plan is.
The answer to that question is yes, she is.
Okay, good. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Great.
My account. Resources. So it should be in the resource folder in the back office. There's a resource folder, and then I think it says something about there's a shared. So I'm trying to find it here. I'm not seeing it looks like there should be a shared folder in the resource. I know I saw it earlier.
Al, it's 8:55. Maybe we can get back to people tomorrow on that.
Yeah, I'll have to see if I can't. It should be in the resource back office resource folder, somewhere in the resource folder. They said there's a shared folder. I think what you do is you have to download it through your OneDrive if you have OneDrive. That's where it is. That's where it's located. And yeah, I may have to get back with you on that one. See if I can find a little bit more conclusive answer for everybody on that one. But it is in the back office under the resources. You may want to hunt through it in there. And I believe that there's a link to be able to download it to your OneDrive so you can actually access it. So with that in mind, we're about 5 minutes that Jackie's going to be in. I believe Jackie's going to be in the 9 o'clock to 12 o'clock session. This is her date for Tuesday. So we're going to wrap this up, give you everybody a chance to take a little break and head on over there. Thanks everyone again for coming in. Hopefully you made a little bit of money on some of these trades we had today. There's a couple that are pending, but they're not quite ready to go yet. Just be safe, stay disciplined, and we'll see everybody tomorrow, same time, 7:30 to 9. See you then.